So good morning, everyone. Welcome to Friday Yoga. I have been reading over the past few weeks about the yogic tools that are available to us for stress reduction. We covered in the first week breath practices. Last week, we did a very brief meditation. And this week, we are going to focus on focused relaxation. So these are guided relaxation practices, which include basic body scans. Sometimes I'll ask you to do a very simple basic body scan at the beginning of class. Might do that today. And visualization practices, as well as formal practices like yoga nidra, which some of you may have heard of. It's a long focus guided relaxation. And these all allow you to achieve both physical relaxation and reduce stress levels by guiding you through a deep physical relaxation experience and providing mental imagery that harnesses you to the present. And we will do one of those at the end of class today, a focused relaxation. My voice will guide you through a way to perhaps reach a deeper level of relaxation. I will say that these practices are different than meditation because you have an external voice guiding you to do certain things, providing imagery. So it is very different than meditation where you're sitting in stillness and quieting your own mind. But sometimes when the mind is really restless, these focused relaxation practices can be very helpful, giving you something to your mind something to really grab onto and focus on. So we'll see how that feels to you at the end of class today. That is focused relaxation. And with that, let's get started. So come back to your chair or sit on the floor, whichever you choose. If you're in the chair, you're finding the support of your chair back, but your spine is upright. And let's all together do just a very brief body scan. Notice the position of your feet. Are they equal with each other? You could even take a quick look down and make sure your big toes are even with each other. Do you feel that there's about equal weight on the 2 feet as you rest? Bring your attention to your knees. Is one more forward than the other, or are they even with each other? Bring your attention to your sits bones, where your buttocks are meeting the chair or the ground. Is there equal weight on the 2 sides? Are you listing a little bit to one side or the other? Bring your attention to your elbows. Are they draping evenly underneath your 2 shoulders? And do bring your attention to your shoulders. Is one higher than the other? Is one a little bit closer to its same side ear? Can you find evenness there? Bring your attention to the back of your neck. Finding length there, but allowing a gentle curve. Draw your attention to your face. Can you relax your facial muscles? Perhaps bring just the smallest smile to the corners of your lips. And finally, bringing your attention to the crown of the head. Imagine, don't actually do it, but just imagine that someone is pulling the hair at the back of your head upwards so you find more length. And with this balanced, even body, simply close your eyes if you haven't already. Draw your attention inward to your breath for the next few moments. drawing hands together now to the heart center, gently pressing palms together. Slide just a little bit up the sternum to create more length. And I will chant Om 3 times. I hope you'll join me. Breathing in. Inhaling, exhaling, replace hands to lap. Allow the eyes to open again and come forward. If you're in a chair, come forward towards the front of your chair. If you're seated on the ground, simply sitting with your legs crossed and your spine long. We'll begin with just one shoulder warm up today from our seated position. So please bring your arms out into a T position. And as you exhale, cross the left arm over the right. And you're coming into sort of a hug shape, fingertips reaching towards shoulder blades. And lifting the elbow points, releasing them back down. You can add your gaze as well, lifting the gaze as you lift the elbow points, releasing all. This is an inhalation on the lift and an exhalation. Coming back to neutral, either remain in the hug shape, or some of you may be familiar with and comfortable using the wrap position. So that's wrapping the forearms around each other. So either from the wrap or the hug, taking some circular movements, as if you're tracing the face of a clock with your elbows. And reverse. Coming back to stillness, unwind, stretch out long. And we'll take that to the second side. So now crossing your right arm over your left, reaching fingertips towards shoulder blades. And take that lift of the elbows, release them down. Adding the gaze and that little lift of the head if you choose. A few times at your own breath's pace. And coming back to neutral, taking the wrap or remaining in the hug and circling your elbows. Tracing the face of a clock. And reversing. And coming to stillness, stretch the arms out long again, reach them up overhead, join palms, and send the palms back down to the heart center. And with this, we will come to stand after that brief warm up in the shoulders. So I think by this point, everyone knows how we come to stand. We're hinging from the hips with a long spine. You're moving your feet a little bit closer to your chair. And either with that push of your hands to give you a little help or using momentum from the arms, inhale on the exhalation, exhaling on the effort, lift up overhead. And releasing back to your chair seat. So you come all the way back to your chair seat. My chair isn't there, but you will actually land on the chair and exhaling, come up. And releasing back all the way to your chair. And exhaling up. And join palms, send the palms together to your heart center. Breathe, be in a standing mountain pose. Let's have arms alongside the body. Do take a look down and find that balance. Make sure your big toes are even with one another. Relax the shoulders as we did in our little brief body scan. Relax those shoulders away from the ears. Make sure they're pretty much even with one another. Arms long at your sides. Pause. Be in the stillness of mountain pose for a few breaths. Can you lift your toes up off the earth? Spread them wide. And release the toes back down. Lift the toes up off the earth. Let's bring the arms forward. And as the toes are lifted, the fingers are flexed up towards the sky. And release the toes down. Release your fingers down so you're flexing at your wrists. Let's do that one more time. Lifting fingers, spreading them wide. Lifting toes, spreading them wide. And release. Arms alongside the body, toes down on the earth now. Let's take our straps. So I think most of you heard what I said earlier and what Katie said earlier, but if you didn't, we're looping our belt around our wrists so your hands are about shoulder distance. And that's just so you can feel the position. We're going to bring it back behind us. So the strap is back behind you. Just be careful the tail isn't anywhere near your feet, so you're not going to trip on it. And belt back behind you, pressing outward firmly into the sides of the belt. And if you don't have a belt with a buckle, or if you haven't had a chance to knot it, just hold on to your belt, that's fine. Inhaling, lift the arms back up behind you. And exhaling, release the arms down. Depending on your shoulders and your mobility, it might be higher or it might be lower. And especially if you have any shoulder injuries, feel free to make that space between your wrists a little wider. And just do this one more time. Inhaling, lifting, brief hold here. Make sure you're not jutting your ribs forward. Tailbone is slightly down. And release. We're going to do that again, but we're going to add the bend in the knees. So let's just do it with the bend in the knees without the arms. And just find chair pose. So your hips are back. Your heart is a little bit lifted, just like when we came up out of the chair. Get long again. Let's now put the arms and the legs together, bending the knees, lifting the arms, keeping the gaze a little lifted. And come back to upright. And bending, feeling that lift in the arms. And coming to upright. Exhaling. It's quite warm today. You might notice that your body is finding a little bit more mobility a little bit sooner than it might in cold weather. Bending again, pause, arms up behind you. Feel the shoulder blades moving more deeply into your back. Breathe. And release, come back up. Let's bring that strap forward again. And this time you don't need the loop. You're just going to go about shoulder width, but just holding on with your hands. So no need for the loop now. We're going to lift that shape up overhead and bend the elbows out to the sides, draw the strap towards the back of the head. Keep that tautness on the strap as you lift up. Keep it taut, release down. We'll do that a few more times. Inhaling to lift. Exhaling, elbows wide. Inhaling now. Exhaling. And one more time. Soft face, just because you're pulling with quite a bit of energy on the strap. Try not to tense up any other parts of your body. And release that tautness on the strap. You can wiggle your shoulders out a little bit. Find a little bit of looseness. And we're going to go wider on the strap, wider with the legs. So legs are about as wide as your mat, if that's the way you're standing. And your arms are wider than shoulder width. And you'll inhale. And let's take this into a side tilt. Arms straight, belt taut. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, second side. Inhale, up. Exhaling. And inhaling. Do it a few more times to each side with your breath. Keeping that strap taut. And the next time we'll tilt over towards the left, we'll pause. Breathing consciously. Maybe the breath is becoming a little faster. Notice the rhythm. Come up. And second side. Arms long. Belt taut. Breath flowing. And come on back up. Release the strap back down. And you can put it aside. So putting your strap aside now, we're going to do a few things at the wall. So coming to your wall, I think everyone has worked at the wall in this class before, so you just need about a 2 foot, maybe a little bit more space today. We're going to do a high, we can do this all together. So please place your hands on your wall quite a bit higher than your shoulders. I'll tilt my camera a little bit more. A little bit higher than quite a bit higher than your shoulders, rather. And stepping your feet back. Coming to what I call a high arm dog. So your feet are probably about a leg's length from the wall. And you're feeling your hips move back towards the center of the room. Your arms are long and the hands are pressing. So hands pressing firmly into the wall, hips back. Breathe. Notice where you feel the stretch. It's going to be quite a bit different than when we do our other dog with the hands lower. So hands high on the wall. I thought I'd take a look, but I can't see, I can hardly see anyone, so. Stepping back a little bit closer to the wall. And now about 8 to 12 inches from the wall, placing elbows at shoulder height, fingertips up towards the sky. We'll take a Sphinx pose, hips towards the wall. Feel that lift from behind your heart. Just a gentle little gaze up towards the ceiling. It's a little bit of a back bending pose. Very healthy for almost all spines. Breathe here and come on back up to upright. We're going to come to the wall for one more. And for this one, I'll turn to the side so you can see. You're standing with, let's all have our right hips right about at the wall. Your feet are pretty close to the wall, not right at it. Arm comes up. So arm is up. If you're thinking of the face of a clock, it's at 12 o'clock. The arm comes back behind you. You'll notice my body wants to turn towards the wall too, but I'm going to give it a little resistance by placing my free hand on the wall and turning my torso away from the wall. You can also, if that's not causing any strain, turn your feet and hips a little bit away from the wall as well. Probably getting a pretty big stretch in the back arm, in the upper area, the armpit chest area. And come on back. Release the arm down. Turn around to the other side. So setting yourself up now on the other side. My feet are about 5 or 6 inches from the wall. It will depend on your height, how you're placed. Opposite arm comes up to 12 o'clock. Slide that arm back behind you. And again, you can see my torso wants to turn towards the wall. I'm going to place my free hand on the wall and just encourage the torso a little bit away. Maybe in the same direction as the toes. If you want a little more stretch, you can turn your feet and hips a little bit more away from the wall. Big stretch for the armpit chest area. And come on back. Release the arm down. Find mountain pose again, just a few breaths here. Thinking about that body scan that we did at the beginning of class, finding balance, evenness. And now coming to your chair. So no need to actually use the chair, but sometimes it's nice to have it there for balance. So we're going to separate the feet about a leg's distance apart. And your left toes are right between the legs of the chair. Your right foot is pretty much parallel to the back edge of the mat. And we're going to move in and out of Warrior Two, bending the forward knee, gaze out over the fingertips, and simply release, bring the arms down. Exhale, bend. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, bend. And now lengthen the leg, but keep the arms in a T. We're going to be working with straight legs today in a few poses that we might usually bend them, just to switch things up. So here's a straight leg Warrior Two. Breathe, really firming the muscles of your thighs. Bringing the forearm down onto the chair. Bring the arm alongside the ear. And this is a straight leg side angle pose. So this is one we usually, again, do with a bent knee. Just changing it up a little bit today. Straight legs. And coming back up to upright. We'll take reverse warrior with straight legs. Your right arm is sliding down the back of the leg. Opposite arm lifts. And we'll put those three poses together. So here we are, straight legged Warrior Two. Forearm to chair. Coming up, reverse. One more time. Straight leg Warrior Two. Firm the muscles of the legs, firm the muscles of the arms. And straight leg side angle. Coming back up. Reverse warrior. Let's pause here in reverse warrior. Straight legs, head and neck can be in neutral, or perhaps you'll choose to look down towards your back foot. Getting an interesting neck stretch here. Come all the way back up. And bend the knee. Bring yourself back to face the chair. Mountain pose. We'll do that sequence on the second side. So I have to move my chair so I can show you from the other side, but you can keep your chairs where they are. And see, we already had the left foot forward, so now the right foot is forward. Just make sure it's your second side. I might be getting confused. I believe it's right foot forward towards the chair, back foot parallel to the back edge of the mat, straight legs. And we'll start with our warrior two with bent knee. Bending the knee, bringing the arms into the T. And lengthening. Exhaling. And inhaling. Two more times. Exhaling. Inhaling. Exhaling. This time, we'll straighten the leg. Here we are in something less typical, straight leg warrior two. Always good to break up typical patterns, do things a little bit differently. It's good for brain health. Bring the forearm down onto the chair, arm alongside ear. Come back up to upright, straight legs. Slide now the left hand down the left leg, reverse warrior. Inhaling. And side angle. And upright. Hand down the back leg. We'll do that one more time. And this time holding reverse warrior, either with your head in neutral. On this side, I'll leave my head in neutral, but you might choose to look down. And coming all the way back up. Release the arms down and step yourself towards your chair. Find mountain pose. Make sure your hips are not leaning forward, your shoulders are not rounded. As best you can, aligning shoulders over hips, over knees, over ankles. Mountain pose. Now coming to face your chair seat. So just one adjustment that might be wise for some people. If you're much taller than I am, I'm 5'4". So people who are 5'10" and up, I would recommend using the back of the chair instead. But many of us, I don't know if it is most of us, many of us will be facing the seat of the chair. And you'll see why. So bringing the left foot forward, bending the knee, coming into a little lunge position. Back leg is straight, heel is lifted in the back. And you're leaning forward a little bit. So this is why this position isn't great for taller people, because you have to maybe round to get down to the seat. So feel free to use the back of the chair. And lift one arm forward, arm back to heel at a diagonal line. Release it down. Lift the opposite arm. Find that diagonal line from fingertips to heel. Release it down. Now both arms, if you choose to. You can see I'm sort of tilted forward. Now let's bring that upright. Lunge, high lunge position. Knee over ankle, arms lifted. And release. Bring your right arm down to your chair. We're going to take this into a twist. So again, some of you might have that arm on the back of the chair instead. Hand to the hip. Elbow straight back, hand straight back behind you. Coming into a twisted position, your forearm is grounded either on the seat of the chair or the back. And of course, can also be on the hip. Unwind. Come out of the pose, straighten the leg, step forward. Come to stand. Take a breath or two here. Second side. So now your right foot is forward. Your left foot steps back. You're coming into your lunge position. Knee over ankle, back heel lifted. Inhaling, lift one arm. Exhale, release it. Inhale, other arm. Exhale, release. Both arms, if you choose to. Find the diagonal line first and then bring the torso to upright. It's a different shape. Back leg can either be straight or maybe a little bend in that knee if that's better for your low back. Releasing arms down, bring your left arm down onto the chair or the back of the chair. Hand to hip. And twisting. That probably feels pretty nice for low backs. Either keep staying here with your hand on your hip or releasing your arm straight back. Breathe. And hand back down to the chair. Bring yourself forward. And stand up in mountain pose. We're going to come to stand beside the chair for our balance today. So coming to stand beside your chair, make sure the rungs of the chair are on the mat for stability. And you're going to, of course, always starting, adjust my camera a little, always starting from mountain pose. And we're going to cross the outside leg. This will be your left leg over the inside leg. Both feet are pressing down. Inhale, lift the outside arm up. Squeeze the thighs together, come into a little side tilt. Inhale, come on back up. Exhaling, side tilt. Inhaling up, you can hold the chair or not. And for this last hold, either coming into the side tilt with your hand on the chair or bringing the inside hand to the wrist, reach up and come into a side tilt and at wrist. Squeezing the thighs together, keeping the head in neutral here. Feeling that nice long stretch in the outside of the left hip, ribs, torso, arm. Come on back up. Exhale, release. Uncross the legs. Come on over to the second side and find mountain pose just for a breath or two on the second side before we begin that sequence here. So, mountain pose. Crossing the outside leg. So this is your right foot crosses over. Both feet are pressing down equally. Thighs are squeezing together, hand on the chair or not. Lifting the arm and coming into a side tilt. Come on back up. Side tilting now. Inhaling up. Side tilting. Inhale, and now taking your left hand, encircling opposite wrist, coming over to a held position for our balance. It is a balance. Squeezing those thighs. Long stretch in the outside of the right side body. Or maybe your hold is here. Inhale, come on back up. Release the arm down, uncross the legs. Standing tall, mountain pose. We will come down onto hands and knees, please. So, time is going fast. Yeah, let's skip downward dog today. I was going to come into downward dog, but I just checked the time, and I don't think that's something we would benefit from as much today as coming into a couple of back bends, which is what I really wanted to work on. So back bends, it's not like a gymnast, of course. It's any position in which the spine is just nicely arched. So come on down. You just did Sphinx pose at the wall. You're going to do it on the floor now. So elbows directly under shoulders, fingertips directly ahead of elbows, and we're not collapsing. We are lifting, finding length from pubic bone to top of sternum. If this causes any strain at all in your low back, let your legs be a little bit wider. That can help. And press down firmly into the tops of the feet. A few breaths here in Sphinx pose. And relax. Before you come down to put your forehead on the floor, take a look, because this is what we'll do next. We're not all doing it together. I'm going to demonstrate pretty quickly, but we won't do it quickly. So you're going to have your forehead on your forearms. You'll bend one knee and lift that thigh up off the ground. We'll do that 2 or 3 times, just lifting the thigh up off the ground. It's not a big lift. And then thigh off ground, stretch leg long, release it down. We'll do that 2 or 3 times. Lifting, stretching, releasing. So now I invite you all to release your forehead to your folded arms. Let your body relax for the next few breaths. Don't anticipate, don't worry about what's coming next. Just being present. And then remaining with your forehead on your folded arms, or you can bring your arms alongside your body. That's an option. Let's all start with arms folded. And bend your right knee. Sole of the foot towards the sky. Just take a little breath. Inhale. On the exhale, lift the thigh up off the ground. It might just be 1/4 inch. And release. Thigh up off the ground. and release. Release the shin back down to the floor so both legs are long again. We'll do the same thing on the second side. Bending the knee, lifting thigh up off the ground. Release. Thigh up off the ground. And release. Relax that leg out long again. And we'll come back to the first side, adding the leg extension. Bending the knee. This is your right knee. Lift the thigh up off the ground. Extend the leg long. And relax that leg back down to the floor. We'll do it one more time on this side. Bending knee. Lifting and lengthening. Releasing. Second side, bending the knee. Lift that thigh up off the floor. Lengthen the leg out long behind you. You're a little bit lifted and release. Bring the leg back down. Second time on this side, bending the knee. Lifting the thigh up off the floor, maybe just 1/4 of an inch. Extend that leg long, your head is still grounded. And release the leg back down to the floor. Now relaxing. Letting the legs relax. Letting the forehead rest. Come on back to focus on your breath. And we'll do a full version of this pose, which is called locust or Shalabhasana. So please lift your forehead up off your forearms so you can extend your arms long beside you. Palms can be facing down. Forehead is back on the earth. Bend both knees. Lift both thighs up off the earth. Extend both legs long and lift the upper body, maybe just 1 inch or 2. Chest, shoulders, head, neck come up off the floor, maybe the arms as well. Breathe, finding that arc shape in the back body. And release, come on back down. It's a very strong pose. Rest for a moment. You can swivel your hips from side to side. And we are going to come over onto our backs. So as you know, I don't come onto my back, but I will demonstrate this from a standing position. You're going to come onto your back, and then you're going to roll over onto your side. So just take a look first and try to translate this from my standing position to how you'll be lying on the floor. So you'll bend your knees on your side. I'll ask you to roll over to one side first. Your knees will be bent. Your hands will come out. So palms are meeting. You're on your side body. One arm is going to lift and go back behind you. And then release and come back, palms meet. So we'll open the shape. It's a little bit of a twist. You'll feel it when you come down to your back. And it's an opening and closing movement. So let's all transfer onto our back bodies. And roll over so your left hip is down on the floor. Left hip down, right hip up. Bend your knees. It might feel good to put a blanket under your head here so your head is a little bit supported. So your knees are bent, left hip is down, head is supporting, and your arms are directly out in front of you, placing one palm on top of the other. Feel that shape in the body, and then lifting the top arm up. Lift it up towards the sky and release it back behind you. Coming into a twist, exhaling, close up the shape. meeting palms. And open up the shape. Arm lifts up towards the sky and then reaches back behind you. Exhaling, close the shape up. And last time, let's open the shape. Lift that arm up and back behind you and let yourself remain in this slightly twisted shape. If your arm is dangling in the air, you don't want that to happen. This is supposed to be a sort of supported pose. So let the arm come a little closer to your body, any way that you can remain so that top arm is resting, not dangling in the air. And pause here. Breathe. Inhabit the twisted shape. Notice how it feels for your breath and your body. Closing the shape up. Top arm comes down. Both palms meet. Come onto your back body, please. Both knees bent. And you might need to wriggle yourself out a little bit to find evenness. Find that evenness in the back of the hips, in the sacral area. And then turn over to the other side. So coming over so that your right hip is down. Both palms meet. Arms are long. And we'll come into that flowing, twisted movement. Top arm lifts up towards the sky and then opens back behind you. Exhaling, release the arm back down, palms meet. Inhale, open it up, arm up towards the sky, and then back behind you. And close the shape. Palms meet. One more time, inhaling. Lift the arm back behind you, and we're going to remain in this twisted position. So make sure that back arm is relaxed. You don't want it dangling in the air. You can move a little closer to your body. You can even place the hand on the hip. Pausing here. And closing the shape. Palms meet. Roll yourself over onto your back body again. Knees still bent, soles of the feet pressing down. And just take a few little gentle lifts and lowers of the hips. So coming in and out of bridge, just gentle little lift of the hips and a release down of the hips. Inhaling, gentle lift of the hips. Exhaling, release them down. Last time, gentle little lift of the hips. Pause in bridge pose. For those of you who have been practicing yoga in the past, you might want to take an interlace of the hands behind the back, nestling those shoulders more deeply towards each other, or simply remain with the arms alongside the body. Release the hips back down to the earth if you haven't already. Take any last movement you would like to. I recommend Apanasana, which some of you know. Another nice thing to do would be to simply keep your feet grounded and sway your knees from side to side. You can lift your feet up off the earth and take knee circles. Anything that feels right for you, maybe even just a big old long body stretch. And then coming to stillness. Finding your pose for relaxation today. It's nice to have a rolled up or folded blanket under your knees. Something under your head might feel appropriate today, or simply rest with your body in full contact with your mat and the earth. I mentioned earlier that our focus today is focused relaxation. And this is where I actually will be guiding you through a relaxation. And it's very helpful, as I mentioned, to harness that restless mind. So this is called point-to-point breathing. The breath plays a major role in creating a rested and relaxed focus. It's a very soothing mental and breathing exercise. And it's especially useful when the mind is fatigued or the body feels lethargic and heavy. In point-to-point breathing, imagine that with each exhalation, awareness and the breath travel downward through the body from the crown of the head to one of the points that I will mention before returning back to the crown with an inhalation. So it's imagining the awareness moving from crown of head to different points of the body. And we'll begin. Resting, allowing the body to become still. Establish your relaxed, even breathing. Observing your breathing, exhale as if the breath is flowing from the crown of your head down to your toes. Inhale back to the crown of the head. Repeat that one more time. Exhale to toes. Inhale back to crown. Now exhale from the crown down to the level of the ankles. And inhale back to the crown of the head. Do that again. Crown to ankles. Ankles back to crown. Exhaling now down to the level of the knees. Inhaling knees back up to crown of head. Do that again on your own. Shifting now the breath and the attention, exhale down to the base of the spine. Inhale back up to the crown of the head. Do that again on your own. Crown to base of spine to crown. Exhale down now to the level of the navel center. Inhale back to the crown of the head. Repeat that, please. And now exhale down to the level of the heart center. From the heart center, inhaling back up to the crown of the head. Do that again. It's important, before we move on to the next point, to remember that even though the distance your awareness travels in the body is becoming shorter and shorter, your breath nonetheless remains deep and relaxed. So don't shorten the breath. Exhale down to the level of the throat. Inhale back up to the crown of the head. Exhale, throat. Inhale, crown. Exhale now, just down to the level of the eyebrow center, right between your two eyebrows. Try not to shorten your breath. Inhale back up to the crown of the head. Exhale down to the eyebrow center and back up to the crown of the head. We're going to reverse the order. Exhale first down to the throat, back up to the crown of the head. Do that again. Exhale down to the level of the heart center, back up to the crown of the head, and repeat that. Exhale down to the level of the navel center. Inhale, navel center back up to crown. And do that one more time. Exhale down to the level of the base of the spine. Inhale, crown of the head. Do that again. Exhale down to the level of the knees. Inhale, knees to crown of head. One more time, down to the knees, up to the crown of the head. Exhaling now, down to the level of the ankles. Inhaling back to the crown. One more time, exhaling, crown to ankles. Ankles back to crown. And finally, exhaling down to the level of the toes. Inhaling, toes back up to crown. And do that one more time. And we'll finish our point-to-point breathing by breathing as if the whole body is breathing. Let the exhalation flow downward as if through the soles of the feet and on to infinity. Inhaling, breathe as if the breath were a wave flowing upward through the body and the crown of the head and on to infinity. Sense that you are lying in the center of a wave of energy. Let your breathing remain deep and watch the breath as you relax your body, breath, and mind. Please allow the breath to begin to grow deeper now. Bringing a little movement into fingers, toes, ankles, and wrists. When you feel ready, bending your knees, rolling over onto one side or the other and resting for a moment on your side body. Make sure your head is supported. Press one palm and then the other down into the earth. Use the strength of your arms to come back to upright. Drawing hands together to your heart center. Find that gentle little lift by pressing palms together, sliding the thumbs up. We'll close with one Om together. Please join me if you can. Breathing in. Om. One more full inhalation, filling with that peace and relaxation of yoga. Exhaling. Namaste.